also feel like being like a cork in the sea. She describes lying at the base of a tree in the grass and, becoming one with the tree, one with the roots, one with the sky. Also, one time she was on her father's boat and closed her eyes again and fell into this kind of ecstasy, bliss of no self, of just experiencing the bliss that she figured all of creation must always be experiencing. And then a hot dog was thrust out of a porthole by her older brother and kind of abruptly woke her up from that reverie. She says it's important to remember that just because the revelation may have been corrupted in the hands of the group who the initial person initially conveys this revelation to, does not mean that the initial revelation is invalid. None of these revelations are ever acquired by the simple, ordinary observation of nature. It's a divine revelation. So the divine in nature is both enclosed and not enclosed. It is both personal and impersonal. So obviously it is non-dual, non-conceptual, and no integration is possible on a conceptual basis. The second revelation is God immanent in man. It arises from the depths of one's being. It is personal, but it is not ourselves. It is independent. And it is probably not in accordance with what we have been taught to believe about God. The dynamic initial revelation may seem to fade into an automatic feeling for this presence. How to integrate the objective and impersonal presence of God in nature with the subjective and personal presence of God within? We shall get to that. This revelation is the central revelation of Hinduism. The Hindu regards this interior presence as their true self, Atman, while the Christian has a relationship with this presence. One could say the Hindu interpretation is more non-dual, or that the Christian at this stage has not yet learned to sufficiently distinguish between their ego self and their true self. Yet I think Bernadette would say that this presence is not the true self because it is wholly other and because God has no self. This revelation is risky because it can give rise to various forms of mediumship and charlatans. So how to integrate these two? How can they both be God? What, if any, is their relationship between them? Which one ultimately should we focus on? Here she gives a glimpse. There is a revelation of the coming together into a singular, brilliant whole. It is the same God that is inside as outside, only two different experiences. One could say from two different directions or perspectives. We could think of ourselves as a vessel or a balloon. It's the same God that is outside the vessel or balloon that is inside, yet break the vessel, pop the balloon, and God goes right along. So while she saw that the two are the same, it got her thinking, what about me? What about the vessel? Do I have any eternal relationship to God? And she concluded that she must. The third is God transcendent. This is the revelation to die for. Why do we say see God and die? Because it completely stops the brain and renders it completely uninterested in any earthly thing. So basically, if this vision were to be sustained, you would probably just stop eating because there would be absolutely no interest in anything earthly. While it remains somewhat aloof, this revelation of God transcendent, it engenders a love and gratitude that wants only to live eternally with this vision. This is the central revelation of Judaism, without which we would not have Christianity or Islam, obviously. A quick note on the word monotheism. She says it's an unfortunate misnomer because it implies one God, a numerical one, amongst many others. It was initially used kind of in that sense of Judaic henotheism, the best God of other gods, but what's truer is to say that it is a more unique or the only, not numerically one among others, because that gives rise to comedians saying things like, well, I'm an atheist because I just believe in one fewer God than you. It's not a numerical one. It should be understood in its philosophical sense. So the dilemma is, if God is truly transcendent, beyond all creation, then how could the immanent presence in us also be God? And if it is not God, then what is it? She claims it is God, and the immanent alerts us to the transcendent. She talks about being in a, what do you call those domes where you see the stars? Planetarium. And she calls God transcendent. It would pass by and there would be a spark leaping up from within her that would notify her to the fact that God was passing by. And at one point she leapt up and she shouted something and she stepped on a bunch of toes trying to get outside to see this presence. She finds it absolutely inexplicable that nothing has been said about the integration of God immanent and God transcendent, nor is it the revelation or the foundation of any world religion. Creation is in the transcendent, creation is not in the immanent. So the distinction is not merely in terms of consciousness, but fundamental to the nature of God. So now we get to this thing of what is the eternal link? What is this vessel? What is this balloon that when popped, God continues to go right on along? God omnipresent is the Logos present throughout creation, but not identical to it. The Logos is our true oneness with God. The only revelation founded on this is Christianity. To call it the cosmic Christ is okay, but it makes it exclusively Christian. Indeed, Philo of Alexandria had the same revelation from a Jewish perspective, and as she says, he basically got Christianity off the ground. Buddhism and Hinduism, of course, have their trinities, but because they came before a monotheistic background, their understandings are very different. I just realized I forgot to put a shirt on. Anyway, sorry about that. Apart from any revelation, the Trinity is reflected in the cosmos itself. The height, transcendent, which is at the edge of the universe, perhaps. The depth, the immanent, which is whatever is at the core of the universe. And the breadth, the omnipresent throughout. The Trinity is a remarkable integration of the three. God chose to reveal them gradually so that we could integrate them. Without the centrality of the Trinity, one can never understand Christ. She says it's important to put the Trinity first and not Christ. A lot of people think that they can just study Christ and eventually come to the Trinity. She says it doesn't work like that. We progress as far as revelation permits. Revelation led the way for the species, first through nature religions, then through Hinduism and Buddhism with the divine indwelling, and then through monotheism, Judaism, Christianity, and ultimately Islam. So revelation led the way for the species, and so it does in turn for each of us individually. Revelation comes first. In the next video, we will explore why she says that not only does our journey recapitulate God's revelation to man in general, but recapitulates the journey of a single person, guess who, as well. That is to say, each of us in our spiritual lives must recapitulate the spiritual life of Jesus. But that is for the next video. Okay, thank you for your patience with me and my lack of a shirt. I was just sweeping the leaves outside on this beautiful Guatemalan morning. And God willing, inshallah, I'll see you next Saturday morning.